You going down to see the president, Judge?
Senator Danforth takes Clarence Thomas and Mrs. Thomas to the White House, but no public appearances for the Thomases with President Bush.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Is there anyone in America tonight who does not have an opinion on the Clarence Thomas case? It involves, after all, a seat on the U.S. Supreme Court, the character of the nominee, the motives of his accuser, sexual harassment, and one of the most important political institutions in the land. The hearings will resume on Friday. NBC's Andrea Mitchell begins our coverage tonight from Capitol Hill. Andrea?
Tom, when the hearings open, Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill, and the Senate will all be on trial. Thomas emerged today, signaling that he will slug it out. The White House had kept him out of sight until now, hoping that the storm would blow over. His appearance at the White House was staged carefully. Accompanied by his wife, Thomas went in to see the president. But to prevent meddlesome questions, reporters and TV cameras were kept out. At another event, Bush did make it clear he is standing by his nominee.
I support Clarence Thomas, and there's no wavering, there's no condition, and that's where it is, and that's the way it's going to stay.
The hearings will be a face-off between Thomas and Anita Hill, her word against his. The Republican strategy is to attack her credibility.
Why did she wait 10 years? Why did she follow him to the next job? Why didn't she bring it up in his first confirmation to the EEOC?
They plan to produce witnesses who have issued statements challenging her claim. Their biggest fear that new charges may emerge. The Judiciary Chairman was not reassuring.
If someone were to come forward, Miss X came forward, did not work for the nominee, and said, by the way, I once was out with the nominee, and the nominee did A, B, C, D to me and harassed me and did this and did that. I don't even make up hypotheticals. And she were a credible witness. That would be credible testimony.
I can see it coming. Advertising virtually for people to come forward with whatever they want to dump on Clarence Thomas.
Danforth has problems in his own ranks. Republican Nancy Kassebaum said today that the Senate's men just didn't get it.
I would hope that we would have recognized it as a charge that had to be taken seriously.
Democrats are on the defensive, saying they failed to investigate fully because Hill requested anonymity.
If we had challenged her on that, you would then be asking us, why would 4 males challenge the judgment of a woman in that regard?
Kassebaum and other senators say that Thomas's future now hinges on how he defends himself from the attack on his personal behavior. Tom?
Andrea, a lot of people tonight are wondering why Professor Hill's claims could make or break this nomination when there were so many other issues in play here.
Well, one reason is that Thomas, because he was so cautious and under such control during his testimony at his confirmation hearings, was not impressive to most of these senators on the law, on the substantive issues. So he was made more vulnerable by his own behavior, his own performance to this kind of charge. Now it is a make or break issue.
Thank you, Andrea. Let's go to the White House now, and NBC's John Cochran, who's standing by there. The Thomas case is obviously a political crisis of the highest order for the president, John. Earlier this week, they were calling these latest charges a smear. Still doing that?
Well, they're not doing that anymore. The mood here is very tense. The president said late today that he's not going to give in and he's not going to lose, but you can just feel the tension here. For example, a reporter asked the president today, what about his spokesman Marlon Fitzwater's allegations all this week that Thomas is the victim of a smear campaign? Before the president could really reply to that, and the president really didn't want to reply to that, Fitzwater jumped in and accused the reporter of misquoting him. Fitzwater, normally the most amiable of men, wouldn't do that in normal times. These are not normal times. The problem is the White House strategy is changing all the time. It's no longer good to accuse Thomas's opponents of smearing. That alienates senators on the Hill. The White House needs those votes. And it alienates a lot of women across the United States who are concerned about these allegations against Thomas.
Thank you, John Cochran at the White House. The accusations against Thomas are the most conspicuous involving sexual harassment. But as NBC's Robert Hager reports tonight, as a legal issue, it has been gaining prominence for some time now.
In Wisconsin, Linda Moore is bitter about the way the state government handled her claim of sexual harassment. Says she was fired by an abusive boss, spent 3 years without work, but won only a pitiful amount of money in a settlement.
You're not physically violated, but you're emotionally and mentally violated. And that doesn't go away overnight.
Illinois state employee Linda Savage also won a case against her boss, but only after 5 years of investigations and hearings that made her feel like a victim for a second time.
5 years of emotional turmoil, five years of marital upset, 5 years of the toll it takes on your family and your children. I think they weigh that price very heavily.
Polls indicate sexual harassment may be commonplace. 42% of women in the federal workforce felt they'd been harassed, and also a few men. But only 2% took some formal action. And statistics indicate it's extremely difficult to go to a state or federal agency and make the charges stick.
Of more than 5,000 cases a year filed with the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, only about 1,000 are found by the agency to have merit. That's only 1 of every 5 filed found to have merit, and only 1 of every 100 is taken to court. The others with merit are simply settled with employers, usually by paying off the complainant. Why so many found without merit? The EEOC's Ricky Silberman.
We have to balance the interests of fairness to both the accused and the accusers.
And Silberman says that's not easy.
These are, as you say, often issues of credibility, because after all, we're talking about conduct of a private nature. There are real issues of privacy involved here.
Perhaps because it's so hard to make cases stick, most go unreported, in the opinion of union leader John Sturdivant.
I would say that it is just really the tip of the iceberg. As I talk to employees, as I talk to our representatives, there are still a lot of that going on in the workplace where the woman is reluctant to report it, where the woman is reluctant to complain.
And that, federal officials admit, is a shame. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
As you might expect, American business is taking a fresh look at this issue of sexual harassment. Tonight, we asked NBC's Keith Morrison to examine the effect on the corporate world.
Good morning, Pacific Bell.
In businesses around the country are millions of people not even sure how to pronounce it, much less deal with it.
Yeah, George, what is it?
Nelson account.
Oh, great. How's it look?
Oh, it looks great.
Not to say corporate America has ignored sexual harassment. This is a training video used by California's Pacific Bell, an effort to help employees understand what sexual harassment is. In fact, Bell and a solid majority of the nation's Fortune 500 companies, out of honest concern and fear of litigation, have policies which specifically forbid sexual harassment.
It's not acceptable, and that's what we want our employees to know. It is not acceptable to sexually harass our employees.
Hey, girls.
But though the practice can be as obvious as it is odious, definition can be elusive. And some experts say that corporate America is missing the subtle power politics of sexism.
There's no list of right and wrong behaviors, so people continue to say, it's cloudy, it's fuzzy, there are too many shades of gray.
This prominent victim chose not to call it harassment at all.
What I'm talking about, the demeaning, the belittling, the being made to seem as an inferior person despite your professional credentials.
Stanford University neurosurgeon Dr. Francis Connolly resigned temporarily after suffering through 25 years of the sex-based patronizing remarks of male colleagues. But more and more women are going to court.
He wouldn't let us out of the office until I showed him my breast, and that was the only thing I could do at the time. There was no other way out.
Sheila McCauley's case is one of many now.
In this allegation against Judge Thomas, there's been this flood of outrage and interest, and I sit back and think, what's been going on for a long time? Why now all of a sudden?
A Cleveland support group called 9 to 5 reports a 400% increase in complaints in the last 2 days. So whatever happens to Judge Thomas, the rest of the country appears headed for a significant attitude adjustment. Keith Morrison, NBC News, Los Angeles.
When the Thomas hearings resume on Friday morning at 10 Eastern Time, NBC News will have live coverage. And when Nightly News continues in a moment, a new drug tonight for the treatment of AIDS.
It feels to me always like someone's banging on my knuckles with a hammer. It's really uncomfortable.
Today, it isn't aspirin, it's Advil for minor arthritis pain.
Advil just really helps with the pain. It makes it go away. The Advil caused me no upset stomach.
Over 100 million people have tried Advil for many types of pain.
That means to me it must work, and it also means it must be safe, and those are two things that I'm interested in.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
It's the one, the only Red Lobster Fest. It's the only time each year when we serve up lobster a dozen luscious ways. Our most delicious lobster at our most delicious prices. But only now during this special event. It's the one, the only Red Lobster Fest, starting at $8.99.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
Now try lunch on Sunday. Most items $4.99 or less.
It is called DDI, and today it became the second drug after AZT to win approval for the treatment of AIDS. We get more on this tonight from NBC Science correspondent Robert Bazell.
Joseph Widowfield is one of the people with AIDS who volunteered for clinical trials of the drug DDI. Such trials suggested that DDI might be an effective treatment for AIDS, but they have yet to prove it. The Food and Drug Administration decided to approve DDI anyway.
There's somewhat of a leap there. But patients are dying, and we think that extrapolation makes a lot of sense and is in patients' interest.
DDI is certainly not a cure for AIDS. What the trials have shown is that for at least a few months, DDI can reverse the decline in certain white blood cells, usually caused by the AIDS virus.
Whether or not that means that the drug is actually helping prevent the infections and the development of the cancers, whether it's prolonging survival, at this point in time, we don't yet have the definitive answer.
For years, AIDS activists have been demanding such early approval of drugs. They argue that patients should not have to wait for scientific studies that take many years. Most AIDS groups were delighted with today's decision.
This is a milestone in drug development for AIDS, because we are going to need not only DDI, but other drugs as antivirals to suppress the virus.
But some experts say the FDA is acting too quickly.
I'm just worried about the fact that it might do more harm than good, and it also sets a precedent for the approval of other drugs also based on an inadequate amount of safety and effectiveness data.
The FDA has yet to say whether it will lower its standards for approving drugs for other diseases. If it does, it will mark a major change in American medicine. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
For one man dying from AIDS, a major victory today. He is Martin Gaffey, the U.S. Marine in Boston that we told you about on Monday. Today, the government reversed itself and told him it will pay almost $4 million in damages. The awards stem from his wife's pregnancy and a transfusion of AIDS-tainted blood by Navy doctors. Gaffney said he was elated with the decision.
Can we have a second? You can leave the
At any choice hotel like quality, comfort, clarion, and sleep, seniors can call ahead and get a 30% discount, no matter where they drop by.
Boy, what I won't do to save a buck.
Seniors save 30% by calling 1-800-4CHOICE to reserve a room. Rooms are limited. Call today.
It's 6 o'clock. You're coming home for supper tonight. You work all day. You work up an appetite.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner?
I wonder what minute is cooking up for dinner tonight.
How about stir-fried chicken and broccoli in a tangy oriental sauce with minute rice? Because minute rice makes all your recipes taste great. Now that's something to come home to.
Just look for minutes. It's cooking up for dinner tonight.
I'm not going to buy just any tire.
Before you buy new tires, test these first. New Bridgestone road handlers from Sears. Drive them anywhere for 1,000 miles. If you're not convinced new Bridgestone road handlers are the best tires you've ever driven, Sears will replace them free.
When they say it's guaranteed, it's guaranteed.
From subcompacts to vans, Sears has a Bridgestone road handler backed by lifetime free replacement.
Who's going to back it better than Sears?
Tonight's Daily Difference, vital signs. How do you help children and their parents deal with devastating illnesses? Well, beyond the right medicine, there's also the right environment, making the families feel at home. NBC's Bob Kerr.
7 years young, and already hers is a world of constant tests and treatment. Kirby Daniels found out last year that she has cancer. Therapy was unavailable near her home in South Carolina, so her doctors recommended a special program at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And through all the pain, prodding, and poking,
What happens here seems to make it easier for children to remain childlike.
For many children, we're buying time, but we're buying time till the next discovery might take place that will hopefully improve the ultimate quality for that child, if not for that child, for the one who's going to come next.
Dr. Philip Pizzo, Chief of Pediatrics at the National Cancer Institute, believes a home-like setting can help kids and their families handle the stresses and strains of serious illness. That's why patients like Kirby no longer must travel to an isolated motel after long days of treatment at the hospital. Dr. Pizzo, using a donation from Merck Pharmaceuticals, created the Children's Inn, a place where patients and families can stay for free, only a short walk from the clinic. It has the look of a resort and a homey atmosphere neither a hotel nor a hospital can match.
You can have a nap after dinner if you want.
Parents, who in some cases come from towns where childhood cancer and AIDS are uncommon, find common ground here. So do the young patients.
Everybody's going through the same thing. This is like more a home atmosphere, you know, like a country club type thing. It's relaxing here.
Okay, so...
And kids interact. It's the kind of place where they hear the darndest things over a game of pinball or at the pool table.
Like her hair, she had beautiful hair down to her waist, real thick, and it didn't surprise her when her hair actually started to come out. She said, oh, now I look like everybody else.
Because someone else had told her.
Because she had met other kids, and they told her, your hair's going to come out.
And Kirby remembers.
It got all over my palate.
A lot of these pictures bring forth a lot of memories.
Staff Director Margot Bradford remembers the children who got well and the ones who died.
They're wonderful children who have come down to the front desk and surprised us with their dress-up costumes from the playroom, popping up and surprising us and saying boo. And you find out 2 months later that little boo is no longer. Devin was not a noisy child. He was just, you know, the presence on the face was wonderful. He would smile. He was a very gentle soul. And I think that's what I'll remember about him, as well as his wonderful grandmother's care.
The inn's comfort makes it easier to recruit patients for studies of new treatments that could become cures. Until then, the Children's Inn will remain a place of hope and sadness.
There's been a lot of courage in this house.
Bob Kerr, NBC News, Bethesda, Maryland.
Back in a moment with more news, including John Chancellor's commentary on the Clarence Thomas case.
We all live with stress. Some people find it harder to deal with than others. And sometimes not only can stress lead to a headache, but it can, on occasion, also lead to stomach upset. That's when your choice of a pain reliever should be Tylenol. Doctors know Tylenol provides fast, effective pain relief, yet is easy on your stomach. Talk to your doctor. We can't avoid stress, but we can take Tylenol to relieve stress headaches. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
At Color Tile, we'll do what it takes to give you a break. That means the lowest prices guaranteed at our Columbus Day half-price sale. Plus no payment for 90 days. At half price, nobody can beat us on vinyl tiles, ceramic tiles, even DuPont Stainmaster carpets, plus mini blinds and wall coverings. Buy one, get two free. It's our guarantee that our customers get the best buys on all the best brands. Color Tile does what it takes to give you a break. So hurry to our Columbus Day half-price sale. It ends Monday.
These are remarkable cars, and I've left all this space to show you why. First, Dodge Spirit and Plymouth Acclaim are the lowest priced 6-passenger cars in the world, even with an airbag and all the goodies you see here. But okay, you want to spruce it up, so you start adding options. Air, automatic, 4-speaker stereo. When you're through, you'll find that Spirit and Acclaim, with all this, are still the lowest priced 6-passenger cars on the planet. Now, get a warranty choice no other manufacturer offers.
During a performance, I really put my no-nonsense pantyhose to the test. Changing costumes, running around backstage, dodging props. I'm always amazed that they survive all that without a run.
No nonsense. The pantyhose that lasts.
You know, recycling has given trash a whole new meaning.
That's the idea, John.
This Rubbermaid 32-gallon trash can is $8.44, and after rebate, GE soft white light bulbs are $1.99 a pack.
Does that make garbage garbage?
Beats me.
Philippines President Corazon Aquino said today that the body of Ferdinand Marcos could be returned as long as it goes directly to his hometown for burial. The former president died in exile 2 years ago. His widow, Imelda, vowed today to fulfill her husband's last wish, which is to be buried in Manila. The Dalai Lama, Tibet's spiritual leader, is back in the United States tonight, hoping to win support for a return to his homeland, now occupied by the Chinese. It is a human rights issue given fresh currency by the collapse of communism around the world. More from NBC's Bill Schechner.
In New York City, 7,500 miles from home, Tibetan Buddhist monks pray to remind the world their homeland is not free. Their culture is in peril. Their leader, the Dalai Lama, is in exile.
Without the Dalai Lama inside the Tibet, the leader of the Tibet, we have no hope.
Today, the Dalai Lama said he can no longer wait to go home.
I'm considering, to take a visit to Tibet.
The announcement is an attempt to break a 32-year stalemate in that land of great beauty and great sadness. In 1950, China occupied Tibet. After a failed uprising 9 years later, the Dalai Lama fled. Opposition has been brutally suppressed, monasteries destroyed, an estimated 1 million Tibetans killed. The Dalai Lama has often tried to negotiate his return. Today he forced the issue.
I have some worry that due to the desperate situation, some kind of violence also may take. So that may take place.
It is a good time for the Dalai Lama to act. The collapse of communist states seems to put history on his side. But observers say Beijing is likely to turn him down.
The Chinese leaders will not be receptive. They are very scared about the popular impact of a visit by the Dalai Lama.
So far, the United States has not pressured China over Tibet. Some say that's wrong.
It is giving our support to a regime that has, in my opinion, one of the worst records in history on the subject of human rights.
This culture values wisdom and action. As their leader worked to help their homeland, the monks worked on a sand drawing of a world perfected through thought. Bill Schechner, NBC News, New York.
Time now for commentary from John Chancellor, thinking about the process of confirmation for the court. John?
Well, Tom, here's an idea. Let's abolish the present system of confirming justices of the Supreme Court. The Constitution doesn't say anything about public hearings. The Judiciary Committee never held a hearing on a nominee until 1925. Before 1925, the process involved some discreet consultation. Nominees were chosen by presidents and approved by the Senate. If the Senate didn't like the choice, the president would quietly send up another name. For a century, that's the way it usually worked. These days, the Democrats run the Congress, the Republicans run the White House, and the confirmation process is being run into the ground by party politics. Robert Bork was rejected by the Democrats in 1987 after a savage fight. He had a long record of writings and opinions which could be criticized. After Bork, the White House stopped nominating judges with long records which could be criticized. And the latest nominee, Judge Thomas, is a perfect example. He was nominated because he had a good chance of being confirmed, and not because he's a legal eagle. So ask yourself a question. If President Bush could have made his choice without going through all the hoopla, would he have picked someone with as little legal experience as Clarence Thomas? My guess is not. There are a lot of distinguished conservative lawyers out there, some of them black. Public hearings can sometimes keep the wrong people off the court. The trouble with today's system is it's keeping the right people off the court. The old way was a lot better, Tom.
Thank you, John. On Wall Street today, traders were hoping for a drop in interest rates, but they didn't get it, and so the Dow dropped in heavy trading today.
Sales reports are in, and guess what? Ford is the leader in total truck sales for the 6th straight year. And Ford full-size pickups are number one 14 years in a row. We also make the best-built American trucks. You understand that? You understand why we stay number one.
More people are driving the best-built, best-selling American trucks than ever before.
Hello? Jill? Oh, how about dinner at our house? What's wrong? Headache. I can imagine. Oh, I've got what you need. Motrin IB. Works great on headaches. My doctor said it's the same medicine as in prescription Motrin, but in non-prescription strength.
One Motrin IB works as well as 2 regular Tylenol. Here.
Oh, no!
Don't look. Just keep this. Sounds like they'll need it too.
Motrin IB, recommended by thousands of doctors.
And your neighbor.
Recently, DuPont announced that its energy unit Conoco would pioneer the use of new double-hulled oil tankers in order to safeguard the environment. The response has been overwhelmingly positive. DuPont, better things for better living.
At any choice hotel like quality, comfort, clarion, and sleep, seniors can call ahead and get a 30% discount, no matter where they drop by.
Boy, what I won't do to save a buck.
Seniors save 30% by calling 1-800-4CHOICE to reserve a room. Rooms are limited. Call today.
He's back, and this time it's umbrellas. The artist Christo, who uses the earth for his canvas. NBC George Lewis tonight on Christo's latest work stretching from California to Japan.
As dawn broke over Southern California, an army of workers fanned out and began cranking up the 1,760 umbrellas that make up the American half of the project.
Yeah.
16 hours earlier, in a rural part of Japan, Christo's 1,340 other umbrellas were unfurled. With the artist hopping from hillside to hillside, surveying his creation, then hopping a plane to see the rest of it. Blue umbrellas to blend in with the rain-soaked Japanese landscape, yellow ones to complement the drought-parched hills of California.
This is the first work of art and all the history of man who is designed to be experienced in 2 places in the world.
Christo's umbrellas will be on view for 3 weeks and then they'll be torn down. His projects are always short-lived and often controversial. This one drew contrasting reactions from a Japanese senior citizen. I'm too old for this stuff, she said. And from a young Californian.
It was a sensual experience, this whole project.
Whatever it is, it's expensive, $26 million. Christo borrowed heavily and is selling his original blueprints and sketches of the project to pay the bills. Some critics refuse to take Christo seriously, but this morning it was his fans who came to look.
I think it's art. I think it's art. Art doesn't have to be the same thing over and over again.
The California umbrellas are positioned right by a major freeway. Up to 4 million people may get to see them. Cattle grazing nearby seem uncowed by all